Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Fire Breathing Rob. Grateful to have you tune in. If this is the first time you've been tuning in, definitely subscribe. We put on amazing people, sports, lifestyle, politics, everything. These are people that are really doing great work in our world and in our country, of course, too. And so we thank you guys for listening. Please hit the subscribe button, like this video, and also definitely share this video. Greatly appreciate your time. So I learned about this organization and what Sandra's doing, and we're going to talk about her in just a second. I think it's amazing, and she has quite a story to tell about how she's helping kids, adults, and also this donkey milk actually helped her daughters in general, and she'll tell you about that in a minute. But this is Sandra Traywick, and she is in Oklahoma right now, and you'll see her in just a second once the screen goes over, and it's a beautiful scenery in the picture as we change over. And she is with the Oklahoma Donkey Dairy, and she again is doing amazing things. And let's discuss that now. So first of all, Sandra, thanks so much for your time today. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. And again, we love the background in the background. I hope everybody that's watching will enjoy that as the interview goes on.
Well, the donkeys are pretty intrigued by it. So,
okay. Well, as long as they don't knock down the camera, then we're in good shape.
It could happen.
All right. So let's kick this around, Sandra. So can you first talk about how you guys got into starting the Oklahoma Donkey Dairy Farm?
Sure. They love to have attention. So if I don't pay attention to her, she's going to be a little bit impatient.
No worries.
So we started out with, we never intended to have a donkey dairy ever. And when my daughter was 6 years old, she had got strep throat, which we didn't even know she had strep throat. And it caused an autoimmune disease that attacked her brain called PANDAS. Now they're calling it autoimmune encephalitis. So their attention hogs. So this autoimmune encephalitis, it's PANDAS, Pediatric Autoimmune Neuropsychiatric disease associated with strep throat. So it can be triggered by anything. The flu, then they call it PANS, but in our case, it was triggered. I believe the last straw on her immune system was the strep. So people are becoming more familiar with that, with all the stuff going down with COVID, because they're seeing the neurological symptoms. But 6 years ago, it was really hard to find anyone that even believed this existed. So you have a hard time getting anyone to diagnose in the first place for a lot of kids. And your symptoms are psychiatric symptoms, but in reality, their brain is on fire. So, hey, you cut it out. So anyway, he's not cooperating. It was horrific, and it literally happened overnight. So one day your kid is fine, the next day you've got all these symptoms: OCD, separation anxiety, hallucinations. They lose like math skills, writing skills, all these things that you just took for granted one day, and the next day they're literally overnight, they'll be gone. And you bite me. And so at the time, we were one of the blessed ones that even got her correctly diagnosed and fairly quickly, but the doctors didn't know how to treat it. And it was very new, and they were saying, well, we can do antibiotics every day till she's 18 or 21. We can do, our best guess is these different treatments. I was going, this is our best guess? Okay, she's 6 years old. So wow. We prayed and cried a lot, and long story, we tried everything. We did do the antibiotics, don't fight. And, to kill the strep, we did do that. And then I was like, I don't want to keep my daughter on antibiotics based on a guess for the next 12 years. And so we started searching for alternatives, and we discovered donkey milk. And within, a few minutes of her having the first dose, we saw changes. So it was pretty incredible. And it's just one of those God-given superfoods, and, it supports the immune system. And there's a lot, I could go into all the, reasons that people suspect this is what works about it. This is what's amazing about it, what's different about it. But most people don't care to hear about lysozyme and immunoglobulins and all that. So.
Well,
And I'm not a doctor. I have to say that every time. This is just our experience. This is what we have seen, how it helped our daughter. And now we have kids with other autoimmune diseases that come and get the milk. We have partnered with a farm in the Azores, Portugal, and they, don't knock it over. They send us freeze-dried, pasteurized milk that we can ship anywhere in the United States. And that's donkeymilkforhealth.com. So we have people that come to the farm to get our raw milk that we milk our donkeys here. And then we also have people that order the freeze-dried milk and we ship that to them.
Again, Sandra Traywick here on Fire Breathing Rob. But when was the first time when you talked to your family in general and said, hey, we should really get the donkeys and try to get this out to as many people as possible as far as helping them and really spreading the word about this?
Well, we started about 5 years ago, and we started with just 3 American mammoth donkeys, and they are listed as critically endangered on the American Heritage Conservancy, which is one of the reasons we wanted to do this breed and make sure that we helped the breed as well. And it was kind of an odd thing that a lot of people didn't want to try it, and they didn't, it was a joke. And so we were like, well, we have these donkeys and we need to pay the feed bill. So I started making, also for our daughter, and for our family, the donkey milk soaps and skincare. Right. And I was like, well, if people don't want to drink the milk, I guess we'll make, in Europe, it's huge for skincare. And it has been a big deal for skincare there for a long time. So I thought, well, we have to pay the feed bill, so I'll make soap and skincare out of it. And I would share privately in Facebook groups and different things, trying to tell people about it and our experience and see if they'd want to come out and try it. And part of our thing was we would give the first jar free to sick kids. And it was an interesting thing. So we thought, well, okay, if doctors don't recommend it, a lot of times people don't want to try something. And I understand that it's not for everyone. And so we started doing the soap and skincare, and then we got featured in a little publication made in Oklahoma. And then from that publication, we got a ton of news stories and press from that. And it's an anomaly. It's something different. We got some really bad press from that as well. People saying we were making medical claims and stuff, which we were not. We're just saying this is our experience and how it's helped our family. And so the soap and skincare, it really does help pay the feed bill, and that's huge for us. So after that, we realized down the road that some families, not only could they not afford additional jars of milk because it's very expensive to produce. They're not like cows. They don't make very much milk at all, and you have to treat them very differently. So we started a nonprofit at that point, where now we have a fund set up that helps us have health events on our farm, which we didn't have yet this year because of COVID. But we have health events where doctors come and speak, and where children got to meet and talk to different doctors. And we had tents set up in our woods, and it was just this incredible. St. Nicholas was here. It was amazing. And that's through the nonprofit. And then and we feature a lot of alternative health practitioners there, functional nutritionists. It was a really incredible time, and it was free for all these families. And so we also do the milk with the nonprofit, where if people can't afford the full price of the milk, then they can apply through our nonprofit, which is listed on the donkeymilkforhealth.com website. And they can, as long as we have funds there, we can help as much as we can for families that would qualify. We do ask that they also pitch in, because I believe it's important for the family to be a part of what they're doing for their child. So
when you talk to these doctors, because it did help, many kids right now, what are they saying that they think is inside the milk that's really helping not only Hannah, but other kids, and people that have taken the milk in general? Have you talked to any of them about that?
Well, we do have some that would like to research it, but there's not really a lot of money for researching natural alternatives in the United States, unfortunately. So I have my own personal theories about what it is about the milk that, based on research that I found, and that there's a lot of research links on our website to different research that's been done. A lot of the research is done in Europe. So that's really neat to see all that. But most of the research that was done for children with cow milk allergies, because donkey milk is the closest to human breast milk. So they researched a lot of it for cow milk allergies in Europe. And she's being a pill, I'm sorry. So that's most of the research that's out there, but you can read that and look at all the graphs comparing it to breast milk and seeing what's different about it, and then researching each individual component like lysozyme and the immunoglobulins and the lactoferrin and all these different parts of it. And then you can say, well, maybe this is what's helping, or maybe it's all of it, So, it's not, I think a lot of times a researcher, they come in and they typically, what happens, like aspirin comes from willow bark. Most of our medicines come from something natural. So if there is money to be made in it, they'll look at it and say, okay, I'm going to isolate the one part of donkey milk that makes it so good for this. Well, I think God put all of it together into something that is synergistic, and it all works together for different parts of what the immune system and what the body needs, and how to support our health, like the way an apple is made in nature, not a GMO'd apple, not an apple that's pesticided to pieces. If we leave foods in their natural form, they do for our bodies what we want them and what we need them to do. And when we eat foods that are processed, when we eat foods that are not food at all and full of all this junk, then our body can't utilize it. So for me, I feel like it's not necessarily one part of donkey milk. It's all of it. It's everything that God put in there. And that's what makes it amazing.
I want to go into the process of making the milk. So once it does obviously come out of the donkey, do you have to store it in like a freezer, or how long do you have to store it? How does all that stuff go?
Well, we freeze it in glass jars because I'm a bit of a purist about, I know everything's BPA free. Well, they replaced BPA with a new chemical. So we freeze it in glass jars, and then it's good in the freezer for, a lot like breast milk. They typically stay 6 months, and then it starts to lose some of its properties. So, we put it in the freezer and people come and get it. And we had somebody come this morning from Virginia, and they drove all the way here and came and picked up their milk and turned around to go back. And, other people, they are right here and they come and get the freeze-dried milk. So there's components. The freeze-dried milk comes from the Azores Islands in the middle of the Atlantic, and it's 100% like natural environment. They get grass year round. If you can see, ours are currently eating hay because we're in Oklahoma and there is no green grass right now. So we can't feed green grass year round. They can. So there's a benefit there to having green, fresh grass year round for those donkeys. They also have, volcanic soil. So they have all the minerals from that, and they have all the ocean breezes that puts all of the minerals from the ocean salt on the grass that they eat. So their milk has different components than what we have in Oklahoma. And, I think depending on what your body needs will be whether the raw or that organic freeze-dried milk from the Azores works better for you. I always say this isn't a magic bullet, and this is, something we do to support our immune systems. And I can't say it will work for something or it won't work for something, but it's something that once you start researching it, it's pretty amazing.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sandra. Is that the farthest somebody has come from, or is it they've come from really far, farther than Virginia?
Yeah, I think we had somebody come from farther than that before, actually.
Wow, that's incredible.
And yeah, we had someone that flew here, and he was, and so these people, they're actually from Eastern Europe, and they live in Virginia now. Okay. And so it's very interesting when I talk to people from other cultures, they know about it because their grandpa drank it, and they'll say, well, my grandpa, they gave it to him when he was a kid because he was sickly or whatever. Or they'll say, my grandma, she talked about it. Or, we've had some amazing stories that we've heard from people that lived in other parts of the world, and they used it for different things, and it's, you know, folklore. And so, but we had someone else who came from, I think, Michigan, I'm not sure. And he flew here and was picking up a car here, and he filled up an entire cooler to take back. Wow. And he wasn't getting it for himself. And he was, I think, from Croatia originally, but he was getting it for all these children that he knew in that area. And he said, I know these kids are sickly. They have this. I know this will help them. So he came here and got a giant cooler full of milk to give to the kids there, that he knew these families that it would benefit in his mind, that he thought would benefit. And I have to be careful how I word things. And right. So he's come back, and, you know, it's just really neat to see. And I don't have to explain to them what's in the milk. They know, because they've seen how in their culture, they've heard all the stories, or they've seen it work themselves. So that's really fun, and it's neat to see. And we get to meet some incredible people that way.
So as we move on, I do want to talk about the donkeys in general. I know you spoke about how they are endangered. So, and I know that's why, one of the reasons why you brought them to your farm. As we're talking about endangerment, how many are there left in society? Are they just basically American donkeys?
Well, these are, I don't know if you saw, the one I was petting is a baby. That's like a tiny baby. So wow. These are American mammoth donkeys. So they're a lot taller and bigger than your normal like burro. So most of the time what you'll see is the size of the baby that I was petting. That baby's just a few months old, and that's the size of a full-grown burro. So the American mammoth donkey is listed as critically endangered on the American Heritage Conservancy because, you know, years ago originally George Washington, father of our country, George Washington, he wanted some really big donkeys to breed to horses to make really big mules to help settle our country and do the farming. And so the King of France found out he wanted them. And so he sent him two as a gift on a ship. And one of them died and the other one got here. And so they consider that to be the father of the American mammoth jack stock breed. So that's a cool history of it. One of the other things right now, I always tell people to know your farmer, know where your donkey milk comes from, because since we have promoted this here, I'm very concerned about some unethical things that might happen if people don't pay attention to where they're getting it from. One of the things, if people are paying attention, and this isn't in the news, it's never in the news until it's done and you can't do anything about it, but the Chinese are going around the world and they're buying up donkeys from South America, from Africa, from all these places that all of a sudden the car has replaced the donkey. And so that people don't care, and they're, you know, kind of a nuisance now, and they're not, some of the people care, and some have actually had, like, this is their donkey that still supports their family, and they wake up in the morning and the donkey is gone. And they're getting these donkeys, they're slaughtering them, and they're taking their hides and they're powdering them to make a Chinese medicine. And so donkeys are en route to extinction in some of these countries where there used to be thousands of them. The wild donkey population, as well as the domestic population, is just being decimated by the Chinese going in there. And thankfully, some of the countries, I believe possibly Kenya, has now outlawed that, but the damage is already horrific. And so I tell people, you know, just be very careful who you buy from and what you're supporting, and make sure that because one of my biggest concerns as well is if people do this wrong, it'll be banned in the United States. And if people don't pay attention and make sure they're buying it from an ethical source, it'll be banned in the United States. And we don't want that to happen. There's too many children that depend on this, adults that depend on this. And we also don't want it to happen for the sake of the donkeys. You know, we occasionally do sell some of ours, and we make sure they go to good, loving homes, and we love ours. You know, they all have names and they all have personalities, and they aren't just a number. So
right. And I want to end with the last few questions, because I know it's probably cold over there, like you said. I'm here in Florida, so
yeah.
How much do you usually sell at a time? Because like you said, these donkeys don't produce milk like cows do. They don't
Right.
produce that much. So how do you usually sell? Is there like only a certain amount that you would allow selling to one person, or how do you kind of go through all that?
Well, when that kind of thing happens, when someone's coming from a long way away, like the people that came this morning from Virginia,
Yeah.
they let us know well in advance.
Mhm.
And so we'll save milk from milking after milking after milking, and until we get enough milk to make it worth them coming to get it. So people that are local, they come out and get maybe 1 jar, 2 jars, and then they come the next week and get, or a month later and get 2 jars, and they just get it as they need it, and it's not a big deal. But for people that are coming from a long way away, they'll let us know ahead of time, and then we just save the milk for them, and they can get a whole cooler full and take it back with them. So that works out.
I heard this was popular in Italy too. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
Italy has a lot more. That's kind of one of the places that brought it back. There's a farm there, I think, with 800 donkeys. So when I talk to, people in Italy, it's a very small donkey milk world. So most of us all know about each other. And so when we talked to them and they first asked, well, how many donkeys do you have? And I said, well, 15. And they're, oh, so small. Well, here, if we say we have 15 donkeys, people are like, what? So now we have more than that. You're a mess. But it truly is a blessing that we're here. We've had people call and they want to do what we're doing and whatnot. And I'm like, we're only here because God has blessed us with the ability to do this. And, the farm isn't exactly, a super profitable venture here. This is a labor of love for sure. And our daughter needs it, and we want to make sure she has it. So that was something that we felt like it was something God put on us to do. And so out of that has come the nonprofit and the health events, because we try to connect people with doctors, practitioners, homeopathic practitioners, functional nutritionists. We try to connect them with other pieces of the puzzle. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that help with autoimmune disease are not covered by insurance. And so it makes it really hard. There was a statistic out that most families, by the time they get diagnosed and treated, they've spent between $10,000 and $100,000 just getting their child diagnosed and someone to treat them. So it's truly a devastating illness. And, one of the biggest deals is that a lot of insurance companies wouldn't even cover treatments that have been helping kids. If there is something, they won't even cover it because they were saying this disease doesn't exist, which is absolutely ridiculous. And, it's kind of it's a rub for a lot of parents.
And you are doing God's work, and I appreciate everything you do. We end the interview about the other products. Now, you do hair products, and you discussed a little bit about this at the beginning of the interview. Hair products, soaps, body washes in general. So can you talk a little bit about them?
We have our donkey milk soaps. We use only organic essential oils for the most part. There's a couple like frankincense that we can't find frankincense in organic, USDA organic. So we do as much as we can. We use organic essential oils in our soaps, and then we use our raw donkey milk to make our soaps. We also have a moisturizer that has a pretty big following, and a lot of these products are things I developed for myself and for our family, because we have tricky skin issues. And the deodorant does not contain donkey milk, and the hair balm does not contain donkey milk. That was actually one of the things a lot of PANDAS kids deal with is body odor at a very young age. And I believe it's their body trying to detox, because it's a different scent, like the stress scent and a detoxing type. That's, I wasn't going to put an aluminum deodorant on my child, and I knew that she needed to sweat, but I don't want us to stink. And so we worked and worked and worked on a formula until we found one that it actually has a lot of magnesium in it, which magnesium is something a lot of us are deficient in anyway. So, your body absorbs everything you put on it. So the the deodorant, we have a huge following with that. And we tell people, you still sweat, you need to sweat. Your body is detoxing when you sweat, but you don't have to stink while you sweat. So the deodorant is a big seller as well. And a lot of people like that because you still do sweat, and it actually helps people to, I believe it can help you when you are sweating, then you're detoxing. So that's a good thing. But you don't have to smell bad doing it.
Right.
And then our soaps,
the junk, Sandra, that's in these soaps that you buy off the shelf compared to what you do not put when you make your own stuff.
No, ours is, we make our soaps all by hand. And you know, it's your basic old fashioned soap that we use. We use lye, and then we use oils and milk, and that's it. So, you know, we have one that has oats. We have an oat and honey one. We have one that uses quail eggs. I have a friend that has a small farm out here, and she raises some quail. And so we get quail eggs from her, and each batch of soap, I'm cracking these tiny little quail eggs into, like 80 quail eggs goes into a batch of soap. So it's pretty labor intensive. And we make, you know, like right now we're taking orders, I think, for February, because it takes 4 to 6 weeks for our soap to cure. So if I sell out, we don't have another batch until that's cured out, and it just sits, it has to sit and air cure for a length of time until it's ready to go. But thankfully our customers are amazing, and they are willing to wait for it, and they don't get all, you know, a lot of people are like, they expect us to be Amazon. I'm like, we're not Amazon. This is a slow process. So the same thing with the donkeys. They have a year gestation. So it's a year pregnancy. And you don't milk them like cows. So you don't milk them for a year after you have a baby, and we share the milk, and, you know, the baby gets part of the milk, we get part of the milk. So there's not like this glut of milk, and we have to respect the animal. But yeah, we don't use any of the hormone disrupting chemicals that are in those liquid hand soaps, you know, which is basically detergents that you're putting on. You know, a lot of people, they switched when everyone started washing their hands so much, their hands got all chapped, because I guess people didn't wash their hands that much before COVID. And so a lot of people switched to our soap, and they're like, wow, you know, this is, my hands aren't chapped and raw. And so it's fun to see. You know, I love educating people and helping them to be healthier. And our products, we do, as we hope that they will help people to take one more baby step into a healthier lifestyle and eliminating toxins. So
as we end, again, Sandra Traywick here on Fire Breathing Rob. It's Oklahoma Donkey Dairy, again, Oklahoma Donkey Dairy. So Sandra, as we end, how can people help you guys? And we talked about it before. Can they donate? Can they, obviously, if they want to buy your milk or any skincare products? I know you ship over online. So can you give everybody all those details as we end, Sandra, please?
Yes, they can buy our products on oklahomadonkeyDairy.com, and that will bring you to our skincare website, which is dulcededonkey.com. And they'll both bring you to our skincare website. And then we also have donkeymilkforhealth.com, which is where our freeze-dried milk is. And they can purchase our raw milk, and they can contact us to purchase the raw milk. We can't sell that on the website because we can't ship it. We also have our nonprofit, which is Hee Haw for Health. And it is a 501c3. If they'd like to donate to that, they can mail us a check. We're old school. I'm working on a website for that, but I don't have it done yet. So we truly do it all. So when the website is done, it'll be a little easier to donate to the nonprofit. But for now, it's pretty much old fashioned. Hey, girly. So those are pretty much the ways that if they want to be a part of what we're doing, we would be honored, and it would be a blessing to a lot of families. And if they ever want to have a donkey someday, let us know, because we do occasionally rehome donkeys to good, loving homes. They are really precious animals. They're super smart. They're gentle. There was a pill over here that was nibbling on my jacket, but they are really sweet. And, you know, once you get to know and love a donkey, you'll always love them. So I think that's about it. I think I've covered everything. There's a lot, I know.
No, that was great. And Sandra Traywick, thanks so much for coming on the program. Greatly appreciate it. Again, the Oklahoma Donkey Dairy. Look for them online, support them in any way
Thank
you
you.
can. There's so
Yes.
much there to look at, so definitely
Yeah.
check it out.
And we are working on our YouTube channel, which is Donkey Milk for Health. And we're working on that in conjunction with our farm in the Azores. And so it should be fun. We're going to have video from the difference between, you know, farming a donkey dairy in Oklahoma and one on in an island in the middle of the Atlantic. So
No, that's great. It sounds like a fun time, and I really do
Yeah.
appreciate everything you're doing. So Sandra,
Thank you.
thanks so much.
Thank you. You have a great day.